Hi,
Yay!
how are you?
Good, how are you? Do you recognize this?
I do. I do. Wait.
All we had was a feeling.
I love this song so much. It's funny because I can't, because of the sound, I could just hear the beat. I could hear no chord.
You're like, I think I recognize that song. How
I don't
are
know
you?
for sure. I'm good. How are you? How are you holding up?
I'm good. Yeah, I mean, it's all a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Just to be stuck at home and like, I don't know what your quarantine situation is like as far as like what's surrounding you right now, but it's really funny to do these Instagram lives because I always feel like it's just pure chaos right before. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, get the Wi-Fi. Who's on the Wi-Fi? Like,
Always. And like drenched in sweat and things. Like the other day I did one for the premiere of Songland. I had to go live with Blake Shelton.
right.
And it was so crazy because first of all, I hadn't done it where I had someone come into the room like what we just did.
Okay.
I had only done it like this. I had never been the person inviting.
Oh, right.
And so what happened was so many people, these dumbasses try to get into the room. I'm not talking about people who are just on here watching. I'm talking about people going, let me come and chat with you. And I kept going, too many people are asking. And it felt like the metaphor was that they're all trying to get in the door. And I needed him to, and he kept trying to get in, but it would knock him off. And I was just fumbling around, and I just kept going, well, I'm sure that he'll be here soon. And it was so nerve-wracking. And of course, like right before that, I couldn't find my phone, and I was yelling at my kids because I'm positive that they lost it.
Exactly.
Anyway.
I see that Ryan Tedder is also in the chat sending a nice comment your way.
Oh, Shane, did you shave your beard blindfolded? He knows this is a fake beard. This is one of those stick-ons.
Oh, wow. It looks great.
Well, thanks. Thank you.
Oh, my God. Well, it's so good to see you. It's been a while.
Not to go back to what Ryan just said, but he knows me so well. He just said, did you eat a lot of salt last night? I want him to leave the room.
Right.
I got on the scale this morning, and it literally started crying. Tears came out of the side of my scale.
I cannot. In tears.
I cannot stop eating.
I can't either.
It's just constant going to the pantry.
Going to the pantry, going to the fridge. I've somehow discovered that if you make pancakes in bacon grease, it's like a game changer.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you told me.
Yeah. So that'll be helpful. That'll be helpful for your scale.
I don't know. Everybody says, you're just supposed to be kind to yourself. And I just don't. When all I have, when all I'm doing is going back to eat all day long, it just makes me feel it makes me feel terrible, honestly.
Yeah, well, it feels so good in the moment. It's like, I need this snack.
Right. It's such a short-lived high, though.
Right.
But
it's like when we're stuck in the house, it's really all we have to look forward to.
What is your go-to? Is there something that you just I eating a whole box of these?
I feel like it's been interesting to see what snacks keep popping up while being home. I used to drink a LaCroix every now and then, and not that that's bad, but now it's almost like a LaCroix is a really big treat.
I drink these Topo Chicos.
Oh, yeah.
I drink 14 of these in a day. Because it just feels like I'm doing something.
Yeah, it's so easy. And, I don't know if we've talked about this, but my dad, so I'm from a small town in Georgia, outside of Savannah, 3,000 people. It's called Glenville. And my dad his dad started a candy company, basically. So my dad makes chocolate covered pecans.
Oh, is that why someone just said chocolate covered pecans?
Yeah, I think that's my mom, because she knows that's also what we've been eating. We were like, Dad, please send out a case full of chocolate covered pecans so that we can snack on them. And that's been a really, really big problem.
That's amazing. That was your family's business the whole time you were growing up and stuff?
Yeah, so where we're from in Georgia, it's on this highway called 301, which used to be the only way. I could be butchering this. I don't know. I'm sorry, Dad. It used to be the only way from, I think, New York to Florida before I-95 existed.
Okay.
And so
your dad right now has the exact wording, and he's like,
That's Katelyn, I taught you. This is not what I taught you. But my grandfather started it as a roadside stand where he would sell pecans to people who would go to Florida
Yeah.
for like the winter or whatever. And so it just became this business. So now my dad runs it, and my dad, like, you know, small town guy, like has never left the town, like he grew up there, lives there now, still lives there. Like, is a very simple man, but is also like randomly a chocolate connoisseur. Like,
so cool.
knows the best kind of chocolate and makes all these treats. So.
If you're supposed to like start a business of what you are really, you feel like you have the right taste buds for, I feel like I should start a cracker company, because I'm a cracker fanatic. And
you?
I don't usually eat crackers because it's just so carby. But in this situation, it's what I go to. I will eat a big sleeve of Ritz crackers. If I had them sitting here, we would talk and they would be gone, and I would just be like a whole sleeve. I would just look down, and they don't fill me up. It doesn't feel like anything, except it's like 10,000 carbs. It's like a loaf of bread shrunk down into a little buttery greatness.
That's why it's so good.
Oh, it's so good. Why are they so
Ritz
good?
crackers, because we're both from the South. I mean, Ritz crackers are like a staple for like a casserole topping.
Yes.
You
Yes.
gotta have 'em.
I feel like you could do a Ritz cracker dipped in chocolate or something.
Oh, for sure. The salty, buttery.
Yeah, we gotta get your dad on this. I think that's
Dad.
actually a really good idea.
Dad, we have some ideas. Mom, I know you're watching. Just pass it along. Tell Shane. We'll
And
tell
send me
Dad.
some pecans.
Yeah, send us some pecans. I mean, we are out. We need a restock. So, and I'll have to send you some too. So you can.
So you're
continue
in
to
LA, right?
So I'm in LA, yes, because I live in LA, so I am here. My brother is next door. My husband's home, working out in the living room, constantly on Zoom meetings. So I'm always walking by in the background in like
That's
a
funny.
robe or something.
Oh, I saw a video of someone today on a Zoom meeting that didn't know they were on camera, and the guy was talking and he was naked. And
What?
yeah, and they were like, Chad, your Zoom is on. And it was like a real video.
Was it? Uh-oh.
Still hear me? So
Yeah.
I was playing with AirPods just now, just in my
Uh-huh.
hand, just flipping them. And when I opened them, they connected, and it made everything like pause.
Yeah. Was the Zoom on a part of his body that was like,
Yeah, his penis.
okay, so his
But not, he was like
leg?
back. He was back in the room. Like everybody was coming up, and he was like back in the room doing something, and he was naked, and they're like, Chad. And he's like, yeah, I'm here. And they're like, dude, your camera's on. And he's like, what? And he comes up to the thing, and he's just standing there,
No.
and his crotch is in the camera. And he's like, what? And they're like, your camera's on. And he's like, oh my God. And he just like, anyway.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That's humiliating.
I mean, part of me's like, did he do it on purpose? Because
I
it's so funny.
Because there are a lot of viral things going on Zoom. Like, did you see the one where the boss was turned into a potato and she couldn't get it off?
No,
Like,
that is funny.
Yeah, the boss is like, it's like 4 people, and she's a literal potato with like a mouth and eyes.
We have crossed over to this entertainment of like, the fact that the boss being a potato is so intriguing to me, and that as soon as we get off, I'll be finding that.
Yeah, you have to look it up. And we're all so dumb and like incompetent with all this stuff still that it's like, I don't know how to get this potato off.
Yeah. Somebody just asked how we met.
Right. So if people watching aren't familiar with Shane, you're obviously a legendary.
I mean,
iconic-
what rock do you live under, my friend?
One, what rock do you live under? 2, I'm glad you're here because, I mean, if you're not familiar, where have you been? But you are just a prolific songwriter that I have been a fan of for such a long time. And we met doing season 1 of Songland together last year.
Yes, which was a really divine sort of meeting for me. I mean, the moment that we met, when you sang your song, and lucky for me, it was with Old Dominion.
Yeah.
They were the artists. And when I say lucky for me is because a lot of times on these episodes, I don't know the artist. And so I'm not able to like shoot a signal of like who I want to work with.
Right.
And the artist chooses. A lot of people don't know that. And the artist chooses who we get paired up with.
Right.
And so Katelyn came out and sang her song, and I was just like looking over at El Dominion, and I was like, and Trevor and Matt were just like, we know you well enough to know You were singing a nostalgic song.
Yep.
It was a female singer. I mean, and it at the time it was like this sort of ballady,
Yeah.
like it was like it had all the check marks for me.
Oh man. I mean, when I was going into like the process of getting on the show and being asked to do it, I obviously looked it up and saw that you were involved in it. And you've written hits for everybody, but I came to really love your songwriting through Casey Musgrave's first album, Same Trailer, Different Park. I'm such a massive fan of Casey, and I feel like that album came out when I was kind of my earlier years in LA, when I was trying to figure out who I am as an artist and a writer, and it was just so impactful on me. Like Merry-Go-Round, my brain just, I can't. If I would have written that song, I would have just been like, well, that's it. I'm hanging
That's
up.
the end.
Done. But I feel like, I was thinking about it earlier, like I feel, when you see an actor on TV a lot, maybe they're in your favorite show or like a reality show or something, and you kind of feel like you get to know them and you're like, we get along. Like by listening to your writing through Casey's songs and all these others, like you said, you write these nostalgic, bittersweet, like melancholy, but still happy, kind of like a longing smile. And I had this like thought, I was like, I feel like Shane, he just gets me. Like, since he can write these songs that just like pierce my heart, I was like, we get each other. We've never met, but we get each other.
Right.
And, yeah.
Well, and your instinct was right. And that, I mean, hopefully when we write songs, a little piece of us is in every one of them. I think that's ultimately what makes for a great song and a great songwriter is being able to tell other people's stories, but at the same time, it's like you're leaving a little souvenir. I mean, my biggest compliment I ever get is when someone says, I knew that you wrote that song before I heard it. I mean, before I looked it up.
Yeah.
And that for me is a compliment because that's what, you're trying to establish something about yourself in these songs, and you and I have a very similar aesthetic, and that was instant for me when you started singing the first verse. What's cool is that, and what a lot of people don't understand, and even as we get into this second season, we get a lot of people who like to make the comment of like, well, the song was better before, or why would you have messed with that song? And you can't really reply to everyone because then it just opens a door. But the truth is, the answer to that is, when I ever get the chance or a platform to say it, is that it's not necessarily better. Your song as it was perfect for you.
Yeah.
And the thing is it's like what people are coming on the show to get the artist to record their song. So we're not trying to take their baby and say, change everything and you'll be perfect. It's that, hey, we know what Old Dominion likes. And if you're looking to get an Old Dominion cut, which is why you're here, let's make it sound like Old Dominion.
For sure.
And that you were really open to that. And what a fun process all the way through recording it and being in the studio and working with them. And they just were such great collaborators. And
yeah. I mean, it was funny because I'm like, okay, we want to have you on the show, Katelyn. Like, not only are you going to go in front of Shane McAnally, Esther Dean, and Ryan Tedder, who you guys are all legendary in your own right. You're going to go in front of Old Dominion, who they're all like world-class songwriters.
They're great songwriters. Right. Exactly.
And, Jeep.
I mean, tell me, trust me. I can't even imagine what you were thinking, because you'd have to know what we were thinking when they were like, not only do you have to make this right for this band, oh, by the way, it has to be great for a Jeep commercial.
Right, which I feel like was a unique challenge on our week, because you were, really tight with Old Dominion, have worked with them before, know what they like, but not so much.
But it was
Jeep.
Right. And what worked for them wasn't going to work in this capacity. It was going to have to be like something they could sing, but still would fit in this commercial. And then we had, of course, Francois there that threw in the whole other element of, the guy who runs Jeep and decides on all of the music and campaigns. And he's there giving his opinion. And it felt like we were like tap dancing, like, what about this? What about this?
No, because I mean, just to get into a little bit of like what the process is like being a contestant on the show and working, like, we go into the studio after that first round and we're like, okay, like, how do we take the notes we got from that first thing, from Old Dominion, from Jeep, and like, were feeling that pressure of like, okay, my song lyric is about spilling wine on the carpet. It's probably not going to work for a car commercial, like
Right.
a Jeep commercial. It's like, how do we make it about adventure or like about driving, but not too on the nose? Like, it was a lot, and I feel like we were really slaving over those lyrics. Like, I remember I woke up to a text from you in that week with like pages of lyrics that you're like, I woke up in the middle of the night and wrote these down. Like,
You know, that's a heightened, sort of a heightened reality when we're doing the show, and you saw
Yeah.
the pace of it, and it's so fast, and you have so many songs coming at you, and
yeah.
you know, it's like my brain in the middle of the night is going, how do we get this right? How do we get this
No,
right?
it was great. I mean, is that something like, because I know you guys are working on all the artists at the same time. So it's like, I'm
Right.
only working on my song, but you're coming in to work on my episode, another episode, another episode. So I know you're kind of just on overload with like thinking of lyrics and ideas, but I feel like, you know, you obviously do this for a living and have for a long time. Is that kind of your style of writing always? Like, are you kind of always thinking of stuff in the middle of the night and writing it down, or is it more like fixed in a session? Or I don't know, like, I'm just curious because I was like, wow, like, it was so interesting to see how like how committed you seemed to like
Yeah.
always striking of like I remember one time you didn't come in because you were like, I can't come in yet because I have this melody and I don't want to lose it before, you know,
Yeah.
we work on this other song. And I just thought that was, I mean, it taught me a lot about like really hitting on something when you think of it.
Right.
And, yeah.
Well, I do think that there is I do think there is a window when Sam Hunt talks about this a lot, when the window opens of creativity. Like, a lot of times we'll be sitting in the room for hours. A lot of times you come in with something. When that window opens, it's very limited.
Yeah.
Where you're in the free flow, where it's
Yeah.
like, this just happens. And sometimes people will say, how long did it take you to write the song? Well, the song may have taken 20 minutes when the window opened, but
Right.
it may have been days, weeks of us looking at each other going, how do we fix this? And, you know, when we're doing the show, it's a whole nother thing, because look, I mean, not to sound like, oh, I'm so, you know, I'm a saint or martyr or whatever, but I take it very, very seriously.
Yeah.
And I really feel responsible for you and the other songwriters who come on here, because I have an empathetic soul, in that I know if it was me, what
Yeah.
I would hope for. And so, since I'm there to help and serve the song and the songwriter, my brain just won't let me rest until it's right. And
Yeah.
it's exhausting. And honestly, I tried to slow it down this season from last season. Last season, I mean, damn near almost killed me, because I just, in the best way.
Yeah.
Because I just was like so wrung out. And I went back into it this year knowing that, you know, I can only do so much. And it's like, I have to be happy with the work as it happens, and also not think, oh, if I had another week or if I had another hour, just do what you can. And I do think I approached it differently, and every time you do something, you do it a little differently. I think if you had been on this season, you probably would have seen a little less frantic version of me, because I think I got to the point where I realized it was going to work out.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I mean, also there's the pressure of like it being season 1 of this new thing, and you want it to be the best it can be, and like give everyone an equal amount of attention. And also, you know, you're like becoming a personality on TV, which is way different than being holed up in a studio, right?
Well, you know that. I mean, that's an exhausting. No, but it is exhausting, and people don't know that, because,
right.
And you almost feel guilty for saying it's exhausting, because
Right.
there's this element of like, oh, you get to have people do your hair and makeup, and then you just go sit in a chair while people come out and like sing you songs, and you get to give your opinion. It is when you finally let yourself off the hook and say, that's the most exhausting thing I've ever done, because you want to give everything you can. And, you know, I met Barbara Walters one time, and she was, it was at The View, and I met her, this is not that long ago, like she was in her 80s. And I wasn't really supposed to, like a producer invited me to the show, and then we were backstage, and she was on camera, and, you know, she's pretty, you see, like she's, for her age, I mean, she was pretty with it and able to like really hold it down. But when she came off and someone like tried to take her energy by saying, hey, this is Shane, he's visiting, She had nothing.
Oh,
and
wow.
and I really relate to it. I mean,
Yeah.
that, I'm sure if she would, that would sound like a slight, but the truth is, the energy it took for her to be on camera all that time, the last thing when she walked off stage that she had energy for, especially at her age, was to sit and it was like she was like, hello, like, we're so busy, like, and I'm just like, so I get it, I totally get it. But my point is, it is, you're on and you don't even realize how on you are until you walk off and you just collapse because you're just like, ah.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's exhausting, especially as someone, you have such a good energy and like rapport with Esther and Ryan, and it makes it so much fun to watch, but it is that much more of like, I have to be on. The camera could be on me at any time, getting a weird reaction.
That is so true.